With 11 rounds completed of the 2019 AFL season, it is time to do our mid-season reviews. Now, the way that it's going to work this year is I'm going to be doing 2 a week, Joel's going to be doing 2 a week, and newcomer Justin will be doing 2 a week, and effectively going to be reviewing the teams that are on their buys. As you'll already know from looking at the title, the 2 teams that I will be reviewing in our mid-season review in this video is Fremantle and Hawthorn. Let's get to it. Fremantle have been a somewhat surprising package this year, and coming into their season bye, they sit in 8th position with 6 wins, 5 losses and 109%, which is quite healthy considering they're only just ahead of the ledger. They've been averaging 54 inside 50s a game, which is quite surprising considering their typical slow ball movement, and their efficiency when going inside 50 is at 46%. Which is roughly about league average. They've got the 3rd best defence in the AFL, and should be noted they've won 2 of their last 5 matches, which means they're not in the greatest of forms, but they have won 2 on the trot. It should also be noted that at the time of recording this, Alex Pearce injured his ankle on the weekend and may be out for a few weeks or a long layoff, or might not be out for much at all. We don't know, but that definitely does hamper their defense or the effectiveness of their defense considering how good he actually is. Their next 5 matches are quite interesting and should set up the rest of their season depending on how they respond to these games. They've got Port Adelaide at Optus, Melbourne at the MCG, Carlton at Optus, West Coast at Optus, and the Hawks down in Tasmania. And realistically, they should be able to win maybe 4 of those games and be sitting pretty with 10 wins, which then just leaves them winning maybe 3 more for the year to make finals, which is really quite attainable for them depending on how they come out of after the bye. For me personally, Fremantle Dockers have been looking their absolute best when they open up the game and they actually take the game on, instead of playing the ultra defensive game plan and just clogging up space. They tend to make the opposition look a lot worse and play a lot worse, but they themselves don't get any free-flowing footy, which is basically what was happening in their 3 or 4 loss streak. Last week against Richmond at the MCG, it should be noted, they were able to use the expanses of the ground to much better effect, and they looked much more dangerous as a result. Now they should be able to transition this style back to Optus because Optus is a similar sized ground, and if they can actually do that and utilize the strengths of their forwards and midfield, then I can definitely see Fremantle making finals at the end of the year. Fremantle have a small problem with trying to overpossess the football, but the problem is their overall disposal efficiency, which is below the league average, is hampering their ability to control the pace of the game. Now this means that they should really play on at more occasions because of it, and it should allow them to play more attacking football. They absolutely look their best when they're attacking the corridor and doing the 45 kick into the centre of the ground and putting real heat on the opposition defence. It should be noted that Fremantle's defence isn't just shut down either, with the emergence of Luke Ryan becoming an intercept defender. He's actually shaping up to be quite a player for them. To give you some statistics, he's been averaging 22.8 disposals a game at 84% efficiency, which is actually pretty good. He's been averaging 9.4 intercept possessions per game, 2.9 score involvements, and he's been getting about 5 rebound 50s per game and averaging about 435 metres gained. For a young player, he's established himself quite well within a really stingy defence, so kudos to him, and on the back of him and Nathan Wilson exiting the 50, Fremantle should get some real drive out of their backline, especially if they utilise it a bit more in the back half of the year. Should also be noted that Nathan Fyfe is having a killer year again this year, and he's actually been able to stay on the park for a lot of the time. He's been averaging 29.4 disposals at 74% disposal efficiency, which is actually pretty good for him because he's got a bit of a reputation for just hacking the ball. He's got 6 goals for the year, averages 6.4 score involvements per game, and also averages 7 clearances, 4 tackles, and 5 inside 50s per game. He is one of the stellar midfielders of the competition, and it is showing every game that he plays. I'm going to give the Fremantle Dockers a grade of B for their year so far. They've exceeded expectations, not dramatically as I expected them to climb the ladder and push for the 8, but they've definitely been playing better for longer periods of time. And it should also be noted that their best does actually look pretty damaging if they can just play that more often. Hawthorn have been a rather interesting team to watch this year. At stages they've looked very systematic and their players have been on board and just gotten the job done, and they've looked really clinical in some of the games that they've played, but in other games they've just looked slow, unresponsive, and unwilling to really work to be able to string wins together. In fact, they're one of the only teams in the competition, at least pushing for the 8, that have yet to win 2 games in a row. In fact, they've gone win-loss, 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 win-loss all year. They're currently sitting 11th for their troubles with only 5 wins and 6 losses at a just passable 101.2%. They've been averaging 51 inside 50s per game, and they have a 46% efficiency when going inside 50. So they're averaging less inside 50s per the competition average, and they're not scoring as much as what the rest of the competition average is either. It should also be noted that they are severely missing Tom Mitchell in the middle right now, as he is a huge source for clearances and getting the ball out to the other midfielders. But in saying that, Jaeger O'Meara is absolutely stood up in his absence and is carrying a huge burden in that midfield, pretty much by himself. The Hawks have won 2 of their last 5 games, and as I said before, it's basically been win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. Their form is patchy at best. Their next 5 games are as follows: Essendon at Marvel, Sydney at the SCG, West Coast at the MCG, Collingwood at the MCG, and Fremantle down in Tasmania. Realistically, I can see them winning 3 or 4 of those games, and again, should be able to set something up and launch themselves to be able to finish strongly in the back half of the year. Realistically, I think I've got them at about 11 wins for the year total, which is probably just missing out on finals, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, and I still do think that they've been playing good footy. It's just whether they can string that together for multiple games in a row. As I said before, O'Meara is having a breakout season. It's probably been one of the best seasons he's had considering his injury woes. He's been averaging 26.1 disposals per game at only 67% disposal efficiency, which is probably due to the nature of him being much more contested and in and under the packs than it is a testament to his actual ball use. He's got 7 goals for the year. He averages 6.5 score involvements per game, and he averages 6 clearances, 6 tackles, and 4 inside 50s per game. It's been a pretty solid year for O'Meara, and if there weren't some other players in the competition that are playing some absolutely outstanding football, he would be in the conversation for a Brownlow. In the back half, James Sicily is putting together another clinical season and should be in the conversation for an All-Australian debut. He's been averaging 23.5 disposals per game at 81% efficiency. That's pretty good. He's been averaging 8 rebound 50s per game and 8.6 intercept possessions. He actually creates a lot of the drive out of the back line. If Sicily wasn't stationed in the back line for the Hawks, they'd probably have lost, I think, about 2 more games than they currently have. He's really holding the defense together, and for a young player, he's really taken it upon himself to lead the team from the back and show the way. He just gets a bit hot-tempered, which over time he'll be able to learn and temper and control and be able to manifest it in more positive ways. But as it stands, he does actually hurt the team a bit with his outbursts, but he does play better when he's playing on that kind of edge. So it's a bit of a balancing game that he hasn't quite figured out yet, but he will. Now for me, Hawthorn, I was expecting to drop down this year. In fact, I think I had them at the start of the year dropping down to about 13th. So they're above pass mark for me at the moment. In fact, I rate them as a C+. So about average, about pass mark, but just a bit better. I'm hoping that they can string together a few games in the back end of the year, because I do see some tough games coming up after the 5 games that I mentioned before, which could hurt their finals chances if they don't get some wins together and string multiple wins together within the next month. So that is my review for both the Fremantle Dockers and the Hawthorn Hawks for the mid-season of 2019. Let me know what your thoughts are about my thoughts in the comments below, and by all means join our Discord, the link will be in the description below, to let me know your thoughts more personally, and I can then respond to you more immediately. Don't forget, if you did like the video, make sure you leave a big thumbs up. Subscribe and ring that bell to receive notifications when new content comes out. Don't forget, we do have 2 more videos this week with mid-season reviews, as well as concurrent weeks coming along for all 18 clubs. Thank you for watching, and this has been your AFL Access.